Hey guys, we're gonna run it back and let's run it back. Okay, so check this out. This is how I see a billionaire committing suicide with the cyanide pill. You can put it in your cap, like you can get it in a cap in a tooth and bite down on that thing real hard, and it'll do the same effect as this guy that went into his pocket and got the pill. But you can get a pill slipped to you, like you can have a pill. Like this is the ideal way that a billionaire would commit suicide right here. But some of you might forgot this even happened. So watch it in real time, how smooth he is with the pill and how it go down.
For the man, his name is Michael Marin. Marin was convicted of arson. He appeared to slip something into his mouth. You see it happening right there. A few minutes after that, he collapsed on the floor in convulsions. A short time later, he died. Now, key evidence we're going to reveal in just a moment about what it was that he slipped in his mouth. Investigators believe they now know what killed him.
Breaking news now. Bombshell report on the death of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Documents obtained by the Associated Press reveal new details about his final days before his suicide in a Manhattan prison.
In August, he was found dead in his jail cell a month after being arrested on sex trafficking charges. The New York City medical examiner called it a suicide. Now, a forensic pathologist hired by Epstein's brother disagrees.
So my opinion is that it was a homicide.
Dr. Michael Marin has investigated President John F. Kennedy's assassination and testified as a defense witness in the O.J. Simpson murder trial. Marin was hired to witness Epstein's autopsy by a pathologist at the New York City medical examiner's office.
She did a good autopsy, and she agreed at the end that she would not call it a suicide. She wanted further information because this was not a typical, this didn't look like a suicide.
But the chief New York City medical examiner signed his death certificate as a suicide by hanging.
It looked more like a strangulation or stomping of the neck. There was really a crushing injury to the neck with fractures of the bones by the Adam's apple, which would not happen in a hanging.
There are elements that lead me to believe that there may have been a homicide here.
Criminal law expert Dmitry Shakhnovich.
When fractures around the larynx take place, that's indicative of homicide, right? The Adam's apple, which is here, and the bones surrounding the Adam's apple, is indicative of a pull, not from up top, meaning not if somebody hangs themselves.
3 weeks before his death, Epstein was found semi-conscious on the floor of his cell with neck injuries. He said he was beaten by another inmate, but prison officials said he tried to kill himself and put him on suicide. 6 days later, he was taken off the watch list, but then the guards that were supposed to check in on him fell asleep.
The cameras that are on the cell and the hallway weren't working.
The guards having fell asleep in a federal prison system. The cameras being out of order. It's also my understanding that Jeffrey Epstein's cellmate was removed from the cell several days after Epstein was moved in. There is some indication of foul play.
The guy that the family hired for an independent autopsy, the guy who was on the OJ case, he was with the actual person who did the actual autopsy, not the chief medical examiner, but the person who actually performed the autopsy. And he said she did a good autopsy, and she concluded with him that it was inconclusive as to her just straight up ruling it a suicide because she saw signs of something, you know, and she said she wanted to further go into this because they talked about the whole bones around the Adam's apple, how they were crushed and everything, and how that's indicative to a pull like from the back instead of like from a pull up. So they were thinking strangulation or maybe stomping. And the whole thing about the guards falling asleep, the camera doesn't work. I mean, all of that. His cellmate being moved, him putting on suicide watch, then taking off. It was like, man, it just was crazy. It's like the being placed on the suicide watch set him up for the play. Oh, he's suicidal. But he claimed that it was some inmates that stomped him out, but they just went on and put him on suicide. And what do you think? Do you think Epstein took his own life? Or do you think, you know, it was foul play involved? Because, you know, everybody thinks he knew too much. You know, they were asking people on the street. A lot of like reputable people said, no, they do not believe this man committed suicide. You know, he had a lot of dirt. And that's the same situation where they saying with Puffy. Puffy is connected to so many high-profile people that, you know, it could be a situation where he's looked at as a big liability if he talks or if he says something. So it's kind of like the same vote, you know, and people are already claiming that Puffy's suicidal. That's what's crazy. People are already saying that different people that say he's suicidal. That's when you know it's some stuff in the game. Like, it's crazy. But let me know what you guys think. We out.